Well, guys, you know, we're coming up on a pretty crazy anniversary. It was just about, I think, a year ago that the IDF gave, I think it was the Associated Press, all of like an hour to evacuate a building on the West Bank before they missile striked it. Do you all remember that? That was about a year ago. The IDF was like, yeah, highly reputable news organization. You need to skedaddle on out of there because we've decided that you have a Hamas termite infection and we have the cure. And they had to run on out of there before they got missile striked. That was what led me to doing my PCRF charity stream. You all remember? That was about a year ago. May 18th was the finish day for the PCRF charity stream. Way back a year ago. And that was incited by, I don't know if it counts as a war crime. Let's say unbecoming behavior on the part of the IDF. And now they have risen up to try to best their yearly effort. I say as though the IDF doesn't do heinous shit like every single day. They killed a reporter. American reporter, no less, which of course makes it a bigger deal in American media. American reporter killed by IDF, network says. Israel calls for inquiry. Israeli forces killed a Palestinian-American journalist for the Al Jazeera news network in the West Bank early Wednesday, according to the network and the Palestinian Health Ministry. Israeli officials said the journalist, Shireen Abu Akleh, was killed in an exchange of gunfire, but said they had not determined who fired the fatal shot. Of course they haven't. And we'll get to that claim shortly. Abu Akleh, 51, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that, a longtime Al Jazeera correspondent and a revered figure on Arab television screens, was shot in the neck while covering Israeli raids in the Jenin refugee camp, according to witness accounts. And I would like to remind all of you that just because I don't cover it 24/7 does not mean that the ongoing genocide of Palestinians by the Israeli forces is not ongoing. Of course, every single day they continue, both in means legally and militarily, to displace and exterminate the Palestinian people. In a statement, Al Jazeera accused Israeli forces of killing Abu Akleh in cold blood and said she had been clearly wearing a press jacket that identifies her as a journalist. In interviews, multiple eyewitnesses, including two journalists who were standing next to her, disputed Israeli assertions that she was killed during crossfire, saying there was no fighting in the area just before Abu Akleh was shot. It was dead quiet, one of the journalists, Ali al-Samudi, who was also injured by gunfire, told the Washington Post in an interview. I see they did the spray fire tactic, who was also injured by gunfire, told the WP in an interview from his hospital bed. In a statement, stop playing this. Please stop playing. It's very distracting. Please. Thank you. In a statement, Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett said the shooting occurred while the IDF were conducting counter-terrorism operations in Jenin. It's always that, isn't it? It's always, always, always that. After a spate of deadly attacks over the past few weeks in Israeli cities, during the operation, he said, quote, armed Palestinians shot in an inaccurate, indiscriminate, and uncontrolled manner. And I like the terminology being used here because what this means is, A, maybe they hit your journalists somehow. And B, yeah, it was so indiscriminate and uncontrolled that it would actually be really, 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 really difficult to substantiate any like arc of fire from their position, like, oh, bullets just appeared. If they appeared in positions which are consistent with the arc of fire you would expect from IDF forces, that's just because of how inaccurate, indiscriminate, and uncontrolled they were, yeah, 47 rounds in the wall directly opposite the IDF barging in. Well, they were very inaccurate. We'll take a look at that, Malarxian, don't you worry. Our forces from the IDF returned fire as accurately, carefully, and responsibly as possible. Sadly, Al Jazeera journalist was killed in the exchange. He said, without a serious investigation, we will not reach the truth. So this is pretty standard, like, propaganda-adjacent bullshit. Whenever your people are very obviously in the wrong, don't say they're not. Instead say, like, we need an investigation. We need an investigation. But who's going to do this investigation? Because all of the non-IDF aligned forces have clearly stated the IDF killed her. Who's going to do the investigation? The IDF? You know, it's a way to buy for time or to give legitimacy to some kind of official investigation which will take place, which will find either that they're exonerated or that it's indeterminate. But 5 witnesses interviewed by the Post at the scene said the fighting between Israelis and Palestinians had occurred hundreds of yards from where the journalists came to be gathered and had ended well before 2 of them were shot. Interesting. Where the journalists came to be gathered, as in they were grouped there, as in they were a distinct target, and that the shooting had ended well before the 2 of them had been shot. Down where the girl was killed, there was no confrontation at all, Ahmed al-Husari said, referring to Abu Akleh. Husari's house was the target of the Israeli military action and had been the center of the early morning fighting, he and the neighbors said. Israel's first assertion that there is a high degree of probability that Abu Akleh was killed by Palestinian fire, in the words of IDF spokesperson Brigadier General Ran Kochev, softened, really, in the hours following the incident. At this point, it is not possible to determine the source of the gunfire which hit her, Lieutenant General Aviv Kohavi, the IDF's chief of staff, said in a video statement released Wednesday evening. A senior Israeli official, in a statement sent to reporters, said that the military's assessment was based on evidence that included video footage in which a gunman is heard shouting in Arabic, "We hit a soldier, he's on the ground." The Israeli military said that no Israeli soldiers were injured during clashes in Jenin on Wednesday and that the Palestinians in the video may have been referring to Abu Akleh. Their claim is that the journalists were huddled together in a tent and then just randomly in that populated tent where no conflict was happening, a Palestinian fired indiscriminately into that crowd and then claimed they had hit an Israeli soldier? Like, imagine that in your head. Like, fathom the positioning and the conceit necessary to make this possible. It was not clear when the video, which was published on the Israeli Foreign Ministry's Twitter account Wednesday, was recorded. A Jenin field researcher from B'Tselem, an Israeli human rights org, shared a map with reporters marking the location of Abu Akleh's killing and the location of events depicted in the video. Can we get that? Jenin field researcher, can we get this map? Or was it only shared with reporters? Let's see if we can't... tools anytime past week. I can't see... Is this it? Here we go. Aha! I can see it. Brilliant. What a detective I am. So here we go. We have similarly colored shapes and outlines to indicate relative positions between a number of camera angles. So, troops move in from here. Possible Israeli soldiers fighting 2, gunman video 2, gunman video 1, fighting 1. Purple box is right here, red, red, red. Okay, and where is the, where did the killing take place? And tell them what can be limited. There's a lot of information. This is where the armed man stood and where she was killed. Ah, well that's practically in the same house. Close. It's no surprise she was hit if she was that close to the conflict. Yeah, let's take a look at the video that was linked earlier. Is this safe for stream? This morning, B'Tselem's field researcher documented the exact locations in which the Palestinian gunman depicted in the video distributed by the Israeli army fired, as well as the exact location in which journalist Shireen Abu Akleh was killed. Okay, so the Israeli government put out a video of a Palestinian gunman with the implication that it was basically right next to the journalist, which led to her death. No audio? I'm not getting audio? Okay, no audio, I guess. Location of armed Palestinian firing and video distributed by the Israeli army. So this is where the gunman was firing according to the Israeli army. Oh my god, it's like I'm really there. What is this camera doing? Well, I assume it's a phone, but it's not moving like a phone. I'm not entirely sure how the camera's moving the way that it is. This might be a bad auto stabilizer. Oh, seems sped up. Yeah, possibly. Do, 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 do. Good. Cross both ways. Location where journalist Shireen Abu Akleh was killed. I keep saying Abu Akleh was killed several hundred meters further down this road. Okay, so way down there. Can we track that here? Gunman Video 1. Where was that? Where was that other one that was linked? The other map. Okay. So the video began right here, traveled through these alleys, and then made its way to this road, and then this is the several hundred meters down this road. Oh no, over to here, to this road, right? So they went down here, and then the camera was pointed up this way to the shooting, so it would have been way down that way. I think that really indicates like how far of a distance it is. And keep in mind, like, the Israeli government releasing that video, like, the Israeli government knows goddamn well what's here and what's there. They have more information than anyone. It's the fucking IDF, you know? So for them to go like, like someone dies over here and they're like, some over here, like that, I think that's indicative either of severe incompetence or far more likely, like open dishonesty, far, far, far more likely. Palestinian journalist Mujahid al-Sadi recounts the moment when veteran Al Jazeera journalist Shireen Abu Akleh was shot dead by Israeli forces.
الاحتلال استهدف شيرين وهي لابسه الخوذه، الاصابه تحت الاذن الاصابه بهاي المنطقه، كانت الاصابه. الاحتلال كان مصر يقتلنا عبر القناصه، وقعت شيرين وهي لابسه بريس. مع ذلك من حاول انقاذها كان يطلق عليه النار. شيرين كان استهداف واضح إلها وإلنا كطواقم صحفية.
Wait, he says snipers. Do we have a confirmation then that there were no IDF forces near her when she was shot? That she was sniped?
النار كان يستهدف آخر حدا شايف القناص.
It was a sniper? It was okay, wow. Yeah, okay, well then that's if it's a sniper, that's 100% a hit. There's no way that a sniper wouldn't be able to see a press jacket, If it was like a crowded building and there was some confusion, the air was dusty, someone fired some shots, there's a chance at it being an accident. If it's a sniper, they 100% know. Yeah. In the video, it was at least semi from far away. I don't have the video of her being killed. Oh yeah, the IDF snipers have shot paramedics, they've shot journalists, they'll shoot everyone. They love shooting people. It's very gory. Yeah, I have a feeling it would be. Can somebody link it? I'll watch it off stream.
زميلتنا شدة حناشي استمر اطلاق النار عليها وهي واقفة تحت الشجرة واحنا مش قادرين نسعف شيرين. اجوا الشباب علينا، الشباب اللي كانوا في الشارع بدهم يحاولوا يطولوا شيرين، يطلقوا النار عليهم، كل ما حد يتقدم يطلق النار علينا.
Yeah. Hold on. Not safe for work video of the aftermath. Well, I just want to confirm if there's any like confirmation that it was a sniper. Graphic video clearly depicts continued Israeli fighting after Shireen Abu Akleh went down. Screams of ambulance. One man tried to retrieve. I'm gonna mute the desktop audio. Hold on. Yeah. You can see her lying dead on the ground. There's no IDF. There's no IDF soldier anywhere near her. She's not even in an enclosed space. I thought she was in an enclosed space or some kind of alcove. She's essentially out in the open. There's sunlight hitting her. 100% a sniper. Literally just targeting press. Like deliberate targeting of press. Yeah. Yeah, there's another person in a press jacket trying to help her, but they can't because the sniper is firing shots nearby whenever they do so. Yeah, they're killing the press and like deterring people from trying to assist her. Yep, it happened again. Every single time somebody gets close to her to try to help her up, there's a shot that rings out and hits near them. Way too accurate, way too precise for this to be anything else but a hit. Well, anytime a sniper is being used in a capacity like this, it's very much deliberately a hit. That means that sniper was acting on somebody's orders. I wonder how high up in the Israeli government they wanted her dead. It's not like some random sniper was like, yeah, I'm just going to cause an international incident killing a journalist today. Some official told them to do that. Yeah, just the deliberate targeting of press. Ontologically evil. No, she was a very, very well-known journalist. Yeah. Yeah, there's nothing even remotely ambiguous about this. There's no need for an investigation. The events here are clear as day. There's really no other reason to yeah. Was this journalist especially hard on Israel? I mean, listen, it's impossible to be a journalist in the West Bank and not be hard on Israel. You know what I mean? There's no real way to walk around there and like see what's happening and go like, oh yeah, this is fine. You know, it's basically Israel's problem here isn't with any journalist. It's with the truth being made public. Like that's it. You know, no matter what journalistic bent you take to it, like Israel just doesn't want people with eyes in on the West Bank. You know, they want it to be a quiet genocide. Did they check the bullet caliber? There's no need for an investigation unless you want to do some like Jason Bourne speculation where it's like, well, maybe a Palestinian sniper firing from the direction the IDF sniper soldiers were at wanted to do a false flag, but like outside of that, like this is very like it was a sniper like shooting her, you know. Yeah. Am I being apologist if I think it's possible the sniper was an idiot and just saw someone through dust? No. You can take a look at the video of them continuing to shoot people who are trying to like get her up. There's no like accident here. They were hundreds of meters away from any actual sort like site of conflict, and it was like a very like specific this person is dead, nobody can help her type deal. There's very little room for ambiguity here. They did not even attempt to make this look like an accident. The video the IDF says actually shot the journalist. Hold on. Oh, yep. Guys, do you remember this alleyway? We saw it in that earlier video. Journalist Shireen Abu Akleh was horribly killed in Jazeera. Of course, this horrific views is being abused by Palestinian terror supporters that the IDF shot her. Here's a terrorist exclaiming they've shot and injured an IDF soldier. No IDF soldiers were injured. This is literally hundreds of meters away from where she died, and the IDF knew that when they said this. The Mossad social media account. We put lasers on aquatic. I assume this is just some pro-Israeli meme account or whatever. Like, it's not like a government account or whatever. But the IDF did put out this video in an effort to say this is what led to her death. But they were nowhere near. Yeah, not the right angle, hundreds of meters away, buildings in between them. Yeah, no. There's a huge disinfo campaign being done by pro-Israeli accounts on Twitter right now. Yeah, dude, the IDF pays out the ass to have a bunch of teens sit in a fucking basement warehouse in Israel and shitpost on Twitter to cover up Israeli war crimes. They literally, that's not even a joke, yeah. Israel, like, proportional to the population of Israel, they have a more effective online disinfo empire than Russia does. Like, Russia does it best in the world, but Russia's much bigger than Israel. Relative to the size of Israel, I think they legitimately, like, do the most, like fucking, yeah, like, Fed posting. The map locations determined by GPS coordinates and aerial shots were nearly 950 feet apart. Post reporters in Jenin who visited the site of the fighting confirmed the approximate distance between the two locations and that a great number of houses and walls stood between them. They found no setting similar to the one depicted in the video, a dense warren of alleys, that's what we just saw, near the spot where Abu Akleh fell, a more airy section of vacant lots, a cemetery, and open-air concrete block workshop. Officials in Washington raised immediate concerns about the incident. State Department spokesman Ned Price in a tweet said the U.S. strongly condemned Abu Akleh's killing, adding that the investigation must be immediate and thorough and those responsible must be held accountable. Samoudi, a veteran journalist who also works for the Jerusalem-based newspaper Al-Quds, said he and Abu Akleh had been standing several hundred meters from the house where Israeli soldiers had been carrying out an attempted arrest. Several hundred meters away is like not even in the same... Like, you can't, like, we're like by several degrees of significance beyond the whole accidental proximate shooting thing. Shoulder wrapped in a bandage, dark blood stains were visible on the bullet-resistant vest marked press on the table behind him. He'd been working with Abu Akleh on Wednesday as a producer. They were alone with 4 or 5 other Palestinian journalists, all wearing protective gear, marking them as such. Yeah, there were like no soldiers around. They were just with the other journalists. Like literally hundreds of meters away from any conflict, a group of people all clearly marked with press bulletproof vests, and then one of them gets shot in the neck by a sniper. And then multiple follow-up shots like in the vicinity as people try to help her. The journalists were near Israeli military vehicles, and they moved slowly to make sure the soldiers could identify them as reporters. There were no other Palestinian civilians or fighters in the area that he could see. Suddenly, a single shot ran out. Was the bullet immediately hitting the upper left of his back? I heard Shireen say, Ali has been shot, Ali has been shot. Then they shot Shireen. He was adamant the group was not caught in the crossfire at all. There were no fighters where we were, none at all. We do not put ourselves in the line of fire. Whatever the Israeli army says for us to do, we do. They shot at us deliberately and directly. Yeah, awfully well-placed shots for indiscriminate fire. Like, it was sniper fire from an unseen target, which hit them, killed her, continued to fire on people afterwards, all from the same angle. Abu Akleh was one of the highest-profile Palestinian journalists, a veteran of covering the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. She joined Al Jazeera in 1997 as one of the network's first field correspondents. Damn. Well, she's going to be remembered as a hero forever. This is just an assassination from the Israeli government. Like, there's no other. Israeli police went to Shireen Abu Akleh's home to ask they take down Palestinian flags hung outside. Yes, that's right. Ontologically, folks, seriously, the Israeli government deserves the fervent hatred that it receives from leftist groups, and redoubled every time over. They are unimaginably evil. It is genuinely unbelievable. Literally just showing up now. When was this from? This was from earlier today. The real question is with how transparent their lies are. Do you think the IDF has moved on to the Russian type of propaganda where it's not truly convincing anymore, but just about creating noise? I don't think they're at that point yet. Because if that was the case, they wouldn't be saying that, like, it was done by Palestinians. They would, like, say, like, Israeli op. Like Iranian op or something. Like, there are several tiers of crazy below, but I think, it's really just like the audacity of their dishonesty, more so than like the deliberate creation of like fake counter narratives. Israeli police stormed the home of journalist Shireen Abu Akleh and occupied East Jerusalem as family mourned her. Oh, ordering them to take down Palestinian flags and stop playing, quote, nationalist music. So they assassinate her and then they show up at her wake in her house with her family mourning, and they're like, all right, gonna have to tune that down. There was a noise complaint in East Jerusalem. Yeah, something tells me that has more to do with the type of noise and not the volume of noise. Otherwise, they wouldn't say to take down the flags. If it was a noise complaint, then they would have just said keep the music down, not don't play Palestinian nationalist music and wave like Palestinian flags. The flags were so loud though. Bosch is being sarcastic. Sorry. No. It's yeah. No, it's fine. It's some hip hop on, playing the beats. Put on that bass boosted Palestinian national anthem till the floor rumbles. Yeah. Well, she'll be remembered a hero. We'll see how this investigation goes. Obviously, the Israeli government is not going to find itself. This isn't like, the thing is, when shit like this happens on accident, they're unwilling enough as it is to admit to it, but sometimes they will. Like, sometimes if the police or the military kill a civilian, they'll be like, oh yeah, after an investigation, we kind of did an oopsie poopsie, you know? This was a deliberate assassination. They're not going to own up to it. What the fuck are they going to do? Oh yeah, our investigation found that the Israeli government deliberately put a hit out on a journalist because we didn't like the coverage she was bringing to the situation. What investigation are they going to find? That, you know, like, what are they going to come to here? You know, is the sniper on paid leave? We're never going to learn the name of the person who did it. No chance. Absolutely not. Because to indicate that it was a sniper is to settle the issue right there. Snipers don't do that. You know. Oh, caught in the accidental crossfire in this totally peaceful area with a sniper. You know, a sniper, you can see the press jacket. There's no, yeah, no. Yeah, not the kind of whoopsie you're going to get from a sniper there. There are cases of snipers killing Americans in, I think, Iraq. Like they're taking shots at what they think are combatants from in the distance, and it turns out they're Americans. But that was like, wasn't that done like 2 miles away or something? As opposed to a couple 100 meters? Nah, no. Not to mention, there's no reason why you should ever be firing at all. Like, yeah. Snipers have to confirm before taking the shot, right? Well, everyone has to confirm before taking the shot. That's the rules of engagement. but snipers have the added benefit of them having snipers have to wait before they can take the shot. You know, like if you're a soldier and you have a rifle and you kick down a door and storm in, there is legitimate potential for confusion. Though again, she was out there in the open. She was just out there in the open peacefully with no combatants nearby. But a sniper has time to look. So there's no shot it wasn't an assassination. Absolutely none. Especially with the follow-up shooting afterwards, you know, to try to keep people away from her body. You know why they did that? They wanted to make sure she was dead. After she dropped from the shot to her neck, there was a chance that after a moment of being dazed, she gets back up. You know, the sniper doesn't know that they got her in the neck. They know they got her. They don't know how deep the wound is. It's possible that maybe the other people there help her up. You know, they get her up and it turns out she just needs a hospital visit and she's fine, just loses some blood. The sniper doesn't know it's a lethal shot. So the sniper keeps other people away from her to make sure she's not going to move on her own, you know? Was she wearing press-marked body armor? Yep, all of them were. It was just a group of people in press-marked body armor. Yeah. They shot her in the face. Well, you can't... It's difficult to confirm a shot from that distance as a sniper, you know? From a sniper's perspective, you fire a shot, you know, recoil, flash at the muzzle, you know, someone hundreds of feet away falls down. You don't always have a confirmation of what you've actually done. Could have been a grazing shot. I'd bet you anything the reason they were trying to keep other people from getting her up is because they didn't know it was a kill shot, but they wanted to see if she doesn't move for a minute, it's a pretty good chance that it was. Foch knows this from his time in the CIA. Well, I just think it's a pretty reasonable inference, right? I would simply not assassinate people. Still seems dumb to assassinate a journalist when they're in a group of journalists. Keep in mind, other journalists were shot too. My guess is that it's possible. My guess is that the sniper was basically just told, like, you know, kill some of them. Safe for work picture of her lying with clearly visible press body armor. Is this safe for work? All right, well, we've blurred out everything but the press body armor, but this is where she was, folks, in the video that I looked at. She's just lying there dead in this open alley, the sun on her, no one else around except for this other person in a clearly labeled press jacket. Like, that's it. In the video, there's no soldiers nearby. They just want reporting kept out of Palestine, right? Yeah, they do. Yeah, of course. What they're doing is morally inexcusable. There's no way around it. It's just a slow open-air genocide. That's it. You know, that's it. Why, though? Well, ontologically. Hold on. Very important. What are the chances of the U.S. acknowledging and acting on this? Not high. Not high at all.